Everyone. There we go. Thought I would start off today with a moving graphic. So, a question, bit of audience participation. Who can tell me what this is, what this game is? Pong. Exactly. So I guess my question to you is a raise of hands if you ever played this as a child. There we go. So a high volume of people in the room. So I guess as I was going through and thinking about over the weekend what I was going to say today, I thought, how can I convey digital transformation? And I thought, what does it mean to me? And I thought, when was my first experience of digital transformation? So I actually thought about it, and Pong came into my head. And what was Pong at the day? When I first played Pong, I think I was 5 years old. Had to double check that with my parents. But all of a sudden, black and white TV with a paddle that you turned round. Doot, doot. I was like, this is amazing. And until that point, I'd played with toys, played with Lego, I'd been outside, enjoyed the fresh air. And then all of a sudden, Pong came along. And that really was my first experience into digital, into something different. And it took me on a digital transformation. So it was all play with the physical. And then all of a sudden, I get introduced to a digital game of table tennis. What a great idea. So actually, as I was going through it yesterday, I showed my daughter Pong. And I said, this was the first computer game your daddy ever played. And she literally looked at it for 2 seconds, shook her head, 6 years old, and went back to playing Minecraft. And I think that shows the journey that's happened over 20 years, 30 years in regard to where digital transformation has come. And again, if you look at Minecraft, again, hopefully everyone knows Minecraft, it's about building things. It's about digitally building worlds. And I think it's another great example of how far we've come and how far we will go in regard to digital transformation, and how au fait the kids of today are with where we will get to. And I guess in regard to transformation, by the sounds of it, you're at the start of a very important journey. But I think what's key to note is our children of today, this is what they expect, this is what they accept, this is what's natural. Playing Pong, that's now in the past. Going forward to digital and being able to embrace online, being able to embrace technology is how life will progress. So, a couple of quotes. A couple of stats, sorry. So, in relation to call volumes, 693 million calls within the UK. Stats say 150 million of these could be unavoidable. And the cost of each call, and there were some stats up earlier, I noted them down, so interesting, roughly works the same, £6.28, and it takes up to the 5 phone calls to resolve that. UK is split into 4 areas, and it's acknowledged that 50% of transactions happen locally, so happen in local councils. And I think in regard to moving into the digital world, 95% of digital journeys start with a search. And except if you think that this morning, I don't know about yourself, but before I came here today, I flipped on my iPad, went on to Google, to find Google Maps to understand where this was, to get a postcode to allow me to put it into my sat-nav to get here today. And I think why that's important regarding a digital journey, when your customers, your citizens, your users start to look for information that they want to complete, they'll go onto your website, possibly via Google, but they'll go onto your council's website and they will enter a search. They want to find that information. And that is a key point. You want to present that information to them. You want a customer experience that will allow them to get to the information they need to allow them to progress and to deliver their service. So, introductions. Colin Brown, I'm CGI's Alliance Director on the City of Edinburgh Council. A bit of a strange title. What it actually means, and I will talk a bit more in detail in regard to City of Edinburgh Council and other local government work CGI is doing currently, but my role within the City of Edinburgh is to support the digital transformation. I work as a member of the senior team within CGI in Waverley Court in Edinburgh, working very closely with the Edinburgh Council team. My role is to ensure that as part of our partnership with local SMEs, with partners who are delivering service for CGI, that it delivers the experience and delivers the services that we have signed up with Edinburgh to deliver along their transformational journey. I've included my Twitter hashtag. I probably get a row for not tweeting as much, but I've included it there, and I've included a post today of attending this event. So I'm going to give you a bit about CGI, I'm going to talk to you about digital transformation, and then an update on Edinburgh Council, and also an update on Scottish Borders. And then if we have time, a Q&A. So CGI, if you haven't, so it's not computer-generated images, as most folk think when they hear CGI. It's actually French. It stands for Councilleur, Gestion and Informatique, which, if anybody speaks French possibly better than I do, is consultants for government and industry. I won't go through this in details, but around about 70,000 staff worldwide. Interesting fact is 75% of our employees are shareholders, so we invest in the company. And why I think that's special and something I've never experienced is it really does enable our employees to embrace our company and ensure we deliver very well for our clients, having that ownership to ensure we succeed. And I think a good one always to place up is a 9 out of 10 satisfaction with our clients, and we hope to continue that. An update on what CGI are doing in local government. So Edinburgh Council, CGI won that contract at the back end of last year. It's been a very fast-paced transition. We went live on the 1st of April. We've got 200 plus people working on transition and transformation now. It is complex, and it's a 7-year deal with a possible 12 years. I will go into more detail on it, so I'm just going to give you a brief view. Borders Council, one of our newest councils to come online. It's part of the Edinburgh deal, which was an 18-month procurement. Edinburgh and the public sector did something very clever. They broke the contract down into OBS's, output-based specifications, to say instead of one big contract that we're going to award the supplier, we want to be a bit smarter. We're going to break it into these output-based specifications, so breaking each of the areas down into functions. And I believe East Ayrshire Council has signed up to be one of the public sector partners. And what it allows you to do as an authority, if you wish to take one of these services out of the 100 plus OBSs, you can actually say, I'd like a new ERP system, I'd like a wide area network, I would like enterprise integration. And you can take components of that, or you can take a wider service. Scottish Borders was the first council to have a procurement that reasonably lasted several months instead of a year plus in regard to bringing on IT transformational services. It's a 13-year deal, and again, there is large economic benefit in regard to it. Another one which is interesting, and a programme that is going on currently, is next year's local elections. CGI is doing the automated processing of ballot papers. So there's lots of work going on at Pentland House, through in Edinburgh at the minute, going through mass testing to ensure when the local elections happen in May next year, they all get processed very efficiently. The team at CGI are very excited about it because we actually get to go to the halls and be there to ensure the system works well. And everyone's looking forward to going out and experiencing that next year. So digital transformation, and really the vision for a digital council. And what I wanted to do here was try and take you on the journey of what is the vision for a digital council. What does it mean? Roy spoke very well in regard to what it means to East Ayrshire Council, and setting up where you are at that point in the journey. So I guess in regard, a unified gateway to provide a physical front door. And I was on looking at your website over the weekend, and I think you're getting it. You've got a website that's starting that journey. But in essence, that really is what digital transformation takes you on. It's a digital portal that will allow your citizens, your customers, the people living in your community to be able to access the services that they require in order to make their life easier and to allow them to deliver, to gain access to transactions online and make life that bit simpler. It was interesting, I was having a conversation before here in regard to having the digital platform. In a community, it's also about the social as well, so it's getting that balance. It is enabling digital, but it's also allowing the social interaction to happen as well. Customer using self-service as default. I think in our last chat, digital as default or channel shove is a useful expression, and certainly digital by default to drive the savings that were mentioned is the channel that you need to look at. How can you put technology in place to enable digital by default? And as we go through, I'll talk to you a bit about what CGI is doing in Edinburgh and other councils to enable digital by default and deliver these processes. Enable smart assets shaped by customer insight and community digital. Now, smart assets, what is a smart asset? It's ensuring that you can reduce but make more effective. So having smart offices, your assets are what is in the community. What can you use that will be cost effective, that will be digitally open, that will have infrastructure that will enable your digital self-service, will enable the front door for users in the community and for the staff of a council? How can you co-locate? How can you have an infrastructure that allow you to work, make use of space, make use of the technology that you have? And that's really what smart assets are, coming up with an infrastructure and technology-based digital transformation that allows you to work smarter, reduce cost, and helps you deliver a better service to your customer. A mobile workforce. This day and age, everyone understands mobile. It was mentioned apps. Is it web apps in regard to the strategy East Ayrshire Council will go down? And I think both work well in this instance, but I think mobility is where you want to take. It reduces paperwork. We all like our paperwork. But I think there was a good example when I was sitting at the table earlier in regard to social care. When you're going out, you look at your diary to understand where you're going. You've got to fill out reports. On Edinburgh, we're going to look at a pilot in regard to an app, which not only allows the carer going out to see their care person, but allows the vulnerable person or the person who they're going out to visit to see the detail before they sit down and have that meeting, understand who's attending the meeting, understand the purpose of the meeting, and be able to see that up front so that when the care worker goes out, it's not a surprise. They understand what they're there for. They can put in feelings. They can understand more about what that meeting's about. There's a pilot that's going to be run over the next 6 months. And again, it's all iPad enabled. It's web app. It's a cloud service that brings down. And again, it reduces time. So you don't have, once you've written up your notes, to go back to your office and then type them up. It all happens. It gets loaded. It can be shared. And again, I guess in essence, it really is what mobile working can do. I think key in digital transformation is creating capacity. If you can reduce time, printing, spending time via the telephone, I think when there's face-to-face contact that needs to happen, then absolutely that should remain. but being able to take services away and ask your customers to digitally fill out and do the work for you, digital by default creates capacity for the experts to focus on, the true nature of what it is to serve the community. And I think scalable regional partners, I think to get the true capacity and realise the true benefits, what can you do to ensure you roll systems out, not just for your council, but get that scalable across all councils? And I think within Scotland, we're I think at the start of that journey, that there's not enough goes on in regards to the digital space of sharing technology, and there is scope, and I think it's great today that you're all here. It was great to hear there's so many different areas from all the directorates getting together and starting that journey, but we need to think bigger and look to see how we can open that up across councils. So I guess from a vision point of view, I'm going to talk here about what's the difference for staff, what's the difference for customer, and then if you bring these together, you get customer service. So in regard to, and I'm not going to go through, I went back. I'm not going to go through all, I'm just going to pick a number out and give you a view. So freeing up professional services, we've touched on this, to release from the routine. So in regard to call handling, in regard to having to spend the time dealing with issues, you can channel shift that to online contacts that allow your staff to focus on the more need areas. And there is vast opportunity, and I'll touch on some of that when I speak about Edinburgh and what we're doing on there. But that is one of the key enablers for staff to reduce your time dealing with the sort of higher level calls, the calls that can be dealt with online. Dynamic website that drives the uptake of online services. So there was a great example of a website that was simple to use, and it's how do you get that simplicity? How do you allow your search to give you the information that you need to make that customer journey work and make it work? So I guess the example is Amazon. It gets used a lot, probably overused, but if you think about that customer experience and that digital experience, that is the ambition of where you want to take a council to enable your staff to be more productive and more efficient if you can get the customer, so our citizens, the people in our community, to do the work for you, to do the heavy lifting. Let the technology do the heavy lifting to allow the staff to focus their efforts on more productivity. And again, we touched on this earlier, freeing up assets, freeing up office space, meeting rooms, and car parking, etc. So again, in regard to digital and digital transformation, what can be put in place to ensure that things work the way we want it to work? At the minute, we have our desks and we all go in there. Can we work smarter? Can we have hot desking? Can we use it amongst the different services when we bring the police and the council and the social work together to have weekly meetings? How can we get that coordinated, and how can that work more efficiently? So when the services, the blue collar services, go off to do their work, how do we use that desk space to reduce costs, and how can technology enable us to do that? I think from a customer point of view, the vision here is a better service. How do we take from where we are just now and make it a better service so that our customers want to use digital? And I think 24/7. Enable them to pay when and how they want. I think there are stats that state between 6 o'clock, 8 o'clock at night, that's when the greatest amount of online transactions happen. So does your website, does your portal allow your customers to access and allow it to fit in within their lifestyle instead of the other way around? I come back with Amazon, I come back with the eBays, the Googles in regard to how it works. If you think about Amazon, we use it because we trust it. We use online banking because we trust it. When we go home, that's the time that suits us to, as a customer, to utilise that service. And I think councils need to have that view. They need to have that vision of where they want to take their services to enable the customer to able to trust a council the way we trust banks, the way we trust some of the big retailers out there that are now everyday place in our lives. Assisted self-service, including web chat. So that got mentioned. The product that CGI are using in Edinburgh Council, Agilis Digital, one of the areas we'll talk about is web chat. And again, it's another way to cut or to focus on channel shift, to assist our users who are going online and wanting to pay their council tax, but they don't understand it. Can you pop up a window where your call centre can look at that and answer it, but then pass it to the right function to enable them to answer that question? And Agilis Digital, one of CGI's main partners in delivering Edinburgh, offers from an enterprise integration that functionality. So I think it's key. I don't think you want to lose sight of there still is need for phone contact for face-to-face, but in regard to digital transformation, web chat certainly is a function that should be explored. Secure and confidential. I think that the biggest concern as we take the steps in this journey is it secure? And I think 5 years ago that would have been a bigger question. I think today security has progressed so far, and we'll talk a bit more about that in regard to Edinburgh, in regard to what we're doing in that space. But it still is a question, but the answer and the credentials behind it are so far now advanced in regard to the digital platform that Edinburgh are using. It's getting used in 15 councils throughout the UK, and will be used in Edinburgh, will be used in Borders. So the question around about security, the question around about the customer's data, I guess in my view, it is very much gone to one side, and it's to focus on how do we provide that service. And I think in regard to data now, it's a move towards my data, my account. It's customer-owned data. It's not council-owned data. The council access it and can drive decisions, can make decisions on services based on the data. But again, take it to Amazon. You own that data. You can see your history. You can understand where you've been, where you're going to go. That is secure data and secure services. And I guess a gateway that reduces complexity and improves speed of access. And that, in essence, what digital transformation is. It is improving access. It's improving how the customer journey happens. So I think if you take staff, if you take customer and bash them together, that gives you the customer service. And in regard to pulling one out, I don't really think you can. I think all of these are important key points. And it touches on what I've just spoken about in regard to digital platform, channel shift. It's a term that you'll hear over and over as you go through this journey. How do you take a piece of paper and how do you put it onto digital? That is the key view. How do you take an activity and make that digital to reduce cost, to increase your customer experience and to increase your staff experience? How do you get your staff focusing on the important task? Flexible services. A culture puts customers' needs first, which is absolutely key. Everything we do has to have customer at our forefront. It needs to be how do we make things better for our customer. Optimising your existing services. So a really good point in regard to it's easy for startups. They come from a blank piece of paper and can say, this is where we're going to go with it. But when you've got an organisation that has processes, has functions, how do you take all that and how do you come up with that new digital experience? And again, from what Roy was talking about, in regard to coming up with working groups, understanding it's absolutely the key thing to go. Understand what the problem is and start going in that journey to optimise the existing service, but by introducing digital transformation or introducing new process. And again, a virtual gateway. Again, you'll hear virtual front door, virtual gateway. How do we get a portal that enables your customers to feel at ease as they're using their banking, as easy as they're using an online retailer. That's the experience you want to get to enable the council to start that journey on the digital transformation. So in regard to channel shift mix and what it looks like in regard to numbers and savings, I've put some numbers up here. I'll go into slightly more detail in regard to Edinburgh, but if you look at the tier 1, the tier 1s are council tax, the tier 1s are ordering a refuse collection. And this won't happen overnight, but over the journey of a period of 1 to 4 years, the view of CGI is that you can achieve 75% channel shift to the online media, so taking that digital transformation. And that really is a huge number, a huge number. Important to note, you absolutely do need to still have that telephone relationship. You're going to need that area, and face-to-face, important in a number of services. Tier 2, the more complex, care, blue collar, you're still absolutely going to need to have that telephone, that face-to-face, but there still is room for channel shift. Digital platform. Again, this is the solution used on Edinburgh. What we have is any digital channel, one and done, so go in and deliver that action. First time when you go into the website, 24/7, you can do it fully during the day. True self-service, reduce failure. We have here remove CRM. I won't go into too much detail at the minute, but where that's taking is if you have a digital platform with a My Account where somebody goes in, that effectively becomes your CRM system that can gather similar detail as your CRM. Scalable and secure, it's an open platform, which means all your current systems can plug into it. So it allows feeds to all your feeder systems. Multi-agency, which means it can interact with all agencies within the council, and there's plugins because of its open nature that allows to do so. Customer owns data. We've absolutely talked about that. The customer, via the My Account, owns the data they enter. And big data insights. So gathering all that data and making business decisions based on the data that's generated. An overview of the digital platform. Again, citizens focused, true multi-channel or omni-channel, mobile, web app, website, telephony. Secure single sign-on via My Portal, similar to Amazon experience, absolutely similar. One and done transactions, go on and pay your council tax, order parking permits. These are the areas that focus on, a number of which are being implemented at Edinburgh and Borders. Direct integration with your systems, plug and plays into the current systems, and clean citizen data, understanding the customer and getting insights to drive the business. And again, taking the journey from where we've been right the way through to a digital self-service superhighway, everything online. So a quick update on Edinburgh City Council. So CGI, as we said, 1st of April services went live. It's a full ICT outsourcing transformation from network, new wide area network, security, end user computing, service desk, applications and transformation. I'm watching my time, so I will shift through these. In regard to channel shift as well, I thought it'd be useful to touch on, and I can pick up later in discussion in regard to ERP, wider benefits. I think I was talking earlier to Alec in regard to one of the questions, can digital really save money? CGI believes so, and in regard to the savings, we believe that enterprise integration, which is the digital portal, and ERP channel shift, we have underwritten £11.5 million of savings. Effectively what that means, if we don't save that, my boss will have to sign a cheque at some stage to Edinburgh Council. So You know, there are truly large numbers in regard to what can be delivered by digital transformation. Similarly, with all the non-ERP components, all the other areas, there is large areas, enterprise integration, taking all these channels and shifting them online. So, what does it mean for Edinburgh? And where are we going? So in regard to Edinburgh, it's seen that there's a minimum saving in regard to the CGI contract, as well as the delivery of digital transformation of 45 million over the 7-year term. From an economic point of view, CGI have committed to delivering 221 jobs. 8 months into the contract, I think we're about 86 already, so really pushing towards job creation, youth, 60 apprenticeships, investment in the community, so again 1.5 million of cash to enable digital, cultural, economic benefits within the council, and 25% investment in SME. What that means is CGI will invest 25% of the revenue that CGI deal in Edinburgh with small to medium enterprises. So again, boosting the economy within Edinburgh and really focusing on what digital means. These are some of the benefits in regard to the CGI investment taking the digital journey. And some of the questions I saw was how can we focus on areas within our community? So Digital Skills Academy, focusing on the unemployed. How can we help? How can we train them to continue employment? We're doing sponsorship, recycling of devices. So lots of devices, instead of going to landfill, CGI are recycling and giving these to charity to recycle in the community to enable our citizens to get online. So I guess it's a thinking out the box. It's how can you digitally enable? What can be new for Edinburgh? Running in time, so I will quickly, I'll mention one again, relating it back to the questions I noted, and that is Office 365, cloud-based working. What does it allow you to do? It's got Skype for Business, it allows you to remote working, bringing all the agencies together, be able to have meetings remotely, digital transformation, not having to be in that room, be able to see each other. It's being able to work from home, access your documents from home. It is having mobile mail, having a new mailbox in the cloud that doesn't give you your usual 500 meg limit where you've got to clean out your mailbox every month. It gives you 500 gig. It's all backed up, that allows you to work digitally. And there is so much that can be done. We've touched on intranet and where the channel shift can take with that space. This one I will skip over. And just an update on Borders. So Borders, very similar to Edinburgh Scope. It's been based on the public sector partner, and there's a new wide area network going in to enable this digital experience. We're also looking at ERP and digital integration similar to enterprise integration. So I think final thoughts, very quickly. We started off in the 70s, so I thought I'd take us back there. And I've mentioned Amazon, so it's very much, we used to look through catalogues, we used to order, we now do things online by the click of a button. That is digital transformation, that's the journey we want to take our customers and citizens on. And we started with a stat, so I'll finish there. These are actually 2016 stats. 98% of 16 to 44-year-olds access the internet. The stats speak for themselves. I think the bottom one, 75 and over, we must be conscious that although we're looking at channel shift and digital is important, we need to keep the avenues open to allow the over 75s, the 65s to 74 also to continue the channels that they're used to.